A live national television broadcast turned into one of the most explosive political showdowns South Africa has ever witnessed as General Nondomi confronted President Cyril Ramaphosa in front of millions of shocked viewers. What unfolded on that broadcast was not a simple disagreement or a policy dispute. It was a direct, fearless and unprecedented public accusation that Nondomi boldly described as the president's greatest lie. The event began as a calm and routine press briefing at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, where the topic was government projects, national security and operational progress. But the moment the general took the microphone, the atmosphere in the hall shifted dramatically. Standing firm and unapologetic, he addressed Ramaphosa not as a subordinate but as a man confronting the highest level of power. "Mr. President, enough of the speeches and enough of the spin. South Africans deserve the truth," he declared, his voice slicing through the silence. He alleged that the president had lied to the country about how security funds were being used, accusing him of diverting money meant for public safety into shadow accounts and private contractors aligned with senior ANC insiders under the false pretext of national development. The room erupted in gas as he stated that evidence existed showing the funds had never reached the departments they were intended for. The president, usually poised, appeared momentarily stunned as the allegations spread across the hall. Ramaphosa attempted to defend himself, calling the claims baseless, accusing the general of violating protocol and warning him that spreading rumors on national television was unacceptable. But the general did not back down. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a folder he claimed contained falsified documents, secret transfers, and proof of President Ramaphosa's direct authorization of questionable financial movements. Holding the papers high, he challenged the president's denials, insisting that the truth would reach the nation whether the president approved or not. Chaos erupted as journalists fired rapid questions and security personnel moved closer to the podium in anticipation of further escalation. Ramaphosa's aides tried desperately to shut down the confrontation, but the cameras captured every second, broadcasting the event live and unfiltered. Within minutes, the explosive clip dominated social media. Hashtags like #Ramaphosa exposed, #NondomiTruth and #InFire trended across every platform as millions of South Africans replayed the confrontation in disbelief. Viewers responded with a mixture of outrage, shock, and applause. One viewer tweeted that it was the realest moment ever seen on national TV, praising Nondomi for saying what many had suspected for years. Another declared that if the evidence was real, it could dismantle the entire NC hierarchy from the inside. What the general described as the president's biggest lente on the government's security and infrastructure budgets, which he alleged were quietly redirected to private companies with no traceable projects. He accused the administration of issuing fabricated progress reports to cover the missing funds, and he insisted he had documents showing Ramaphosa personally approved offshore transfers disguised as development initiatives. That evening, political analysts on SABC News described the allegations as potentially one of the most significant financial deceptions in South African democratic history. In the immediate aftermath, President Ramaphosa's office cancelled all scheduled appearances and released a brief statement framing the incident as an unfortunate misunderstanding while dismissing the general's comments as reckless and unprofessional. Behind the scenes, however, insiders revealed growing tension within the ANC. Some party leaders privately supported Nondomi's courage while others demanded his suspension for publicly humiliating the president. Reports soon emerged that the general had been placed under heightened security after receiving multiple threats following the broadcast. The nation became sharply divided, with some hailing Nondomi as a hero and whistleblower while others accused him of destabilizing the government for political gain. Despite the divide, one fact remained undeniable. The confrontation had forced into the open a deeper crisis that had long been simmering beneath the surface of national politics. Calls for a parliamentary investigation into the alleged contracts grew louder as activists and opposition leaders vowed to keep the pressure on until the truth came out. Protesters outside Parliament held signs demanding transparency and accountability, insisting that the scandal was no longer about internal politics, but about justice and honesty for a population exhausted by corruption. Analysts warned that depending on what evidence Nandami presented, the situation could evolve into a full-scale corruption probe, threatening not only the president's position, but the stability of the entire ruling party. Some political commentators even suggested that this could be the turning point that reshapes South Africa's political landscape for years to come. As the country waited for further developments, one question dominated national conversation. Was this the beginning of the end for Ramaphosa's presidency? Or would the administration find a way to contain the fallout before irreversible damage was done? The general promised that the documents he possessed would reveal everything, either exposing the largest political scandal in recent history or setting the stage for one of the nation's most intense political battles. Social media continued to blaze with theories, debates, and demands for evidence as millions waited for the next chapter of the unfolding drama. Citizens insisted that the nation deserved transparency and vowed not to rest until answers were provided. The explosive confrontation had opened a wound at the very heart of the government, and South Africans were determined not to let it heal without the truth. As the political storm grew, media outlets promised continuous coverage and the public braced for more revelations, recognizing that this was only the beginning of a broader national reckoning